Tonight, we look at a growing unease in the American economy. Following President Trump's inauguration in January 2025, his administration has unleashed a wave of new trade policies. Officials have called this approach strategic uncertainty. The goal is to reshape global trade relationships for America's benefit. This has involved a dizzying series of tariff announcements, threats, and negotiations targeting major trading partners, including China. This constant state of flux is creating a powerful headwind for businesses large and small across the nation. The rules of the game, once stable, are now changing almost daily, leaving leaders in a state of paralysis. This deliberate policy of unpredictability aims to give the United States an advantage in negotiations. However, it comes with a significant domestic cost. When businesses cannot predict what tariffs will apply next month or which countries will be targeted, they hesitate. Long-term planning becomes nearly impossible. The confidence needed to hire new workers, build new factories, or invest in new technologies evaporates. This isn't just a problem for corporate boardrooms. It's a concern that trickles down to every American family, affecting job security and the cost of everyday goods. The very foundation of economic stability is being shaken. We are already seeing the early warning signs. The Economic Policy Uncertainty Index, a key barometer of business confidence, has soared to its highest level since its creation in 1985. It is even higher than during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic or the 2008 financial crisis. This is a clear signal that the business community is deeply concerned about the path ahead. Companies like Ford, Mattel, and UPS have taken the unusual step of stopping their future earnings forecasts. They simply cannot see clearly enough into the future to make reliable predictions, a stark admission of the turbulent environment they face. This climate of doubt is not just an abstract concept, it has real-world consequences. The Federal Reserve's own report in April 2025, known as the Beige Book, used the word uncertainty and unprecedented 80 times. This reflects conversations with business leaders from every corner of the country. They are expressing a deep-seated worry about the future of their operations. This widespread apprehension is the first step toward a potential economic slowdown, a problem that could define the coming years if the current trade strategy continues on its chaotic and unpredictable course. To understand where America might be heading, we can look across the ocean to the United Kingdom. In June 2016, the British people voted to leave the European Union in a move known as Brexit. What followed was not an immediate economic crash, but something more insidious: years of profound uncertainty. The country spent the next several years debating and negotiating the terms of its exit. No one knew what the final trade relationship with its largest partner would look like. This prolonged period of not knowing inflicted deep and lasting damage on the British economy, creating a powerful lesson for the world. The primary victim of this uncertainty was business investment. While trade itself remained relatively stable for 5 years, companies put their plans on hold. Why build a new factory or expand a product line when you don't know if you'll face crippling tariffs or complex regulations tomorrow? From 2016 to 2024, UK business investment was almost completely flat. It barely moved from about $85 billion to just under $87 billion. In stark contrast, over that same period, business investment in the United States grew by a healthy 35%. The UK economy was essentially frozen in place by indecision. This stagnation in investment had a direct impact on the lives of ordinary people. When companies don't invest, they don't become more efficient. Labor productivity, a key driver of wage growth, came to a standstill. As a result, real incomes barely grew. Between 2016 and 2024, inflation-adjusted average incomes in the UK rose by a mere 4%. One analysis concluded that the typical British household would be earning nearly $2,000 more per year had the uncertainty of Brexit never happened. It's a clear illustration of how high-level policy chaos can directly shrink the paychecks of working families. The lesson from the United Kingdom is stark and unambiguous. It wasn't the final trade deal that did the most damage, but the years of confusion leading up to it. The grinding stagnation, as some economists call it, was a direct result of businesses being unable to plan for the future with any degree of confidence. This created a lost decade of growth and prosperity. As the United States now embarks on its own path of strategic trade uncertainty, The British experience serves as a clear and sobering warning of the potential consequences that may lie ahead for American workers and businesses. The patterns that crippled the British economy are now beginning to emerge here in the United States. The same chill is descending upon American businesses. A first quarter 2025 survey from the Business Roundtable, which represents the CEOs of America's largest companies, delivered a worrying forecast. A majority of its members, 58%, predicted that their capital investment in the United States would either remain flat or fall over the next 6 months. These are the companies that drive a huge portion of our economy, and their hesitation to invest is a red flag that cannot be ignored. Their caution signals a broader slowdown in the making. This hesitation is not limited to the giants of industry. Small businesses, often called the backbone of the American economy, are also pulling back. In the first quarter of 2025, only 18% of small businesses said they planned new capital outlays. This is the lowest level seen since the depths of the pandemic in April 2020. When small businesses stop spending on new equipment, new locations, or new technology, it directly impacts job creation and local economic vitality. This widespread reluctance to invest, from Main Street to Wall Street, is a direct consequence of the unpredictable trade policy environment. Some recent data might seem to contradict this trend. The numbers for the first quarter of 2025 showed a surprising surge in private investment and goods imports. But economists warn this is not a sign of a healthy economy. Instead, it was a frantic rush by companies to act before President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, announced in April, could take effect. Businesses were stocking up on supplies and pushing through investment projects to beat the deadline. This is a temporary, artificial bump, not a sustainable trend. Once the tariffs are in place, this burst of activity is expected to give way to the long-term stagnation we are discussing. The fallout is also visible in the job market and corporate activity. The monthly hiring rate in the first quarter of 2025 was the lowest for that period in over a decade, indicating that companies are slowing down their workforce expansion. At the same time, merger and acquisition activity fell by 19% compared to the previous quarter. This shows that even large-scale corporate deal-making is being put on ice. All of these indicators point in the same direction. The engine of the United States economy, fueled by investment and confidence, is beginning to sputter under the weight of strategic uncertainty. The final and most important lesson is about people. Economic statistics like investment rates and GDP can feel distant, but their consequences are felt intimately at the kitchen table. The core takeaway from the Brexit experience and the emerging story in the United States is that policy uncertainty hurts ordinary families. When businesses stop investing, productivity growth stalls. When productivity stalls, wages stagnate. And when trade rules are in constant flux, the prices of everything from groceries to cars can rise unexpectedly, as we've seen with year-ahead inflation expectations skyrocketing from 2.8% to 6.6% in just 5 months. This isn't a theoretical exercise. It's about a family's ability to save for college, a small business owner's dream of expanding, or a worker's hope for a raise and a more secure future. The companies most affected by this trade uncertainty are the very ones that drive innovation and good-paying jobs. In 2022, United States multinational parent companies accounted for over 43% of all capital investment and a staggering 2/3 of all research and development. When these economic powerhouses are forced into a defensive crouch, the ripple effects are felt throughout the entire economy, limiting opportunities for millions of Americans. The argument that this uncertainty will force foreign companies to invest more in the United States to avoid tariffs remains largely unproven. While some of that may occur, it is unlikely to offset the damage caused by domestic companies putting their own plans on hold. The British example showed that the promise of a better future after the uncertainty ends is not enough to prevent real, tangible harm in the present. The years of waiting for clarity can inflict a wound on the economy that is slow to heal, leaving behind a legacy of lost growth and diminished prosperity for everyone. In the end, a nation's economic strength is built on a foundation of stability and predictability. While ambitious policy changes can be necessary, the manner in which they are pursued matters enormously. An approach defined by chaos and constant surprises, even if labeled strategic, creates an environment of fear and hesitation. The lesson from across the Atlantic is clear. Such uncertainty acts as a powerful brake on the economy, slowing growth, stalling incomes, and ultimately making life harder and more precarious for its citizens. It is a lesson the United States is now learning firsthand.